When did you notice that in your MLB career that you had to hold back on certain aspects?
I think right away. I mean, I even knew when I was looking into jobs in college. Like, I'll use an example. No one said anything to me, but one of my internships was with the Miami Heat when I was in college, and then they ended up doing a kids day where they would have, I mean, kid, but you're in college. They would have young adults go on the broadcast. I got to do like a quarter or a half. We're not going
Cool.
to go on there and be like, the GM stinks. And also, that's not the right spot or
Yeah.
time for it. But right away. I actually used to. I speak all the time to aspiring broadcasters, journalists, people that want to be in the industry, and I travel a ton. I'm always on the road. Even still now with this job, we've had a lot of remote shows with Foul Territory. So I like to talk to people, and I've changed how I give this advice out. But I always would say, hey, if you want to work for a team or a league, you better be careful what you're saying and what you're putting out on social media, right? So if you're a super fan of a team, and let's say you want to work for the marketing department of that team, they might scrub through your tweets or your Instagram and be like, hey, you were saying that our owner is a joke or that you hate our logo or something like that. And they might not hire you because of that. Same thing would occur if you wanted to work for a freaking tech company or an energy company or something like that. This, to me, it wasn't surprising. I think it gets a little bit more nuanced when you're talking for hours every day. So you just have to, for the most part, communicate with your producer on how a story is handled. So that's what would happen, right? Like, so when I'm hosting, MLB Tonight or MLB Now or one of those shows that I used to host in the past for MLB, you're having a conversation with your producer. Hey, this news
Right.
just came out. How are we handling it? One of the most complicated ones was A-Rod. If you go back in the day, I
Mm.
mean, we had a point where like I was there for over a decade. A-Rod's like suing everybody, and you're like, how are we covering this story? It's crazy because it's not even like it was just against the league. It was against his own players union. It was a freaking wild story if you look back to what was going on at the time. So for me, those are just conversations like, how are we doing this? And sure, sometimes like someone might talk to you afterward. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a situation where I called out the Angels years ago, and then one of their broadcasters was kind of going after me on Twitter. This is a long time ago, saying like I'm not watching the games, and I was like, actually, I have insomnia. I watch the late night games more than I
Watch
watch
all the
the early
games. Yeah.
games. I'm watching plenty. All I said was I was on Sirius at the time on MLB Network Radio because I did shows on there for several years, and I said I feel like they're wasting Mike Trout's prime years away. That aged really well. I was
Yeah.
pissed off. I was like, this is the best player. Like, he needs more support. Also, I knew a lot and still do a lot going on behind the scenes where Artie Moreno is cheap as hell. He'll buy a player, a position player, and didn't like pitching for a while. The spring training situation there and some of the tools that they give their pitchers and hitters, just an absolute joke. Knew about it. Knew that it was going to be a problem for a while. You can't be a helicopter owner. I didn't
Yeah.
go that hard. I wouldn't. But just saying that one line, I had a team employee going after me, and I went back and then was told by the former president that I was working for at the time to just chill about it. So I did.